Hello everybody, I am Freaking Jack, and today we're going to be going over a little bit of a guide as to what roles there are in League of Legends and which one you should play. In League of Legends, there are six roles in League of Legends. There are fighters, tanks, mages, assassins, marksmen, and supports. The finger comes in. And I'm going to be going over each one of them very briefly as to sort of my interpretation. This is in no way like a tutorial on how to be these roles. This is more of just a guide to know kind of what each role is kind of about, where they position, what their primary focus is, that sort of stuff. First in the lineup is fighters. Fighters are high health, high defense damage dealers. They are strong in a one-on-one situation as well as in teamfight situations. They rely on being bigger and stronger than the person they're fighting, and they're almost always located in the top lane and jungle. Because fighters are predominantly melee, they are very weak against ranged champions, especially in the early game phases. One very big role that fighters play is pushing lane objectives, aka split pushing. This is a very circumstantial tactic, so only use this whenever your team can handle themselves while you are not around. Keep in mind, fighters are the kind of people that you have to pretty much be committed to the fight for. If you second guess yourself, you're usually going to lose. So once you go headstrong into a fight, fully commit or back out. Some examples of fighters are Renekton, Darius, Jace, Kled, Vi, Garen, Jax, Riven, Yorick, and Aatrox. So if you're the kind of person that likes to jump headstrong into a fight, fighters may be to your liking, especially if you don't like dying a whole lot. Although, be aware, being in the top lane can be fairly difficult, especially if you're laning against someone who is ranged or someone who knows what they're doing. Next in the lineup are tanks. Tanks are exactly what they sound like. They're very high health, very high defensive stats, and generally come equipped with a lot of crowd control abilities. They're almost always located in the jungle and top lane, although some are located in the bot lane as supports, but we'll get into that in a minute. Their primary weakness is their lack of damage. They are fantastic with stunning or knocking up enemies for the length of the fight, but when caught alone, they are usually dead. They act as the primary engager of the team. They need to jump in headfirst into a fight, kind of like fighters, but they're going to be the primary bullet sponge, targeting the enemy's most valuable members, thus leading them to a teamfight win. A downside of choosing a tank is that if you go in and your team decides that they don't want to, you die. They're a very, very team-reliant role, so keep that in mind. Some examples of tanks are Cho'Gath, Ornn, Sion, Zac, Tahm Kench, Urgot, Alistar, Rammus, and Mundo. So if you like being the bullet sponge of the team and creating a human pinball out of the enemy carries, then feel free to choose tanks. Although keep in mind, you're never going to be the carry. You're always going to be the supporting character, and if your team doesn't do what they're supposed to do, you'll lose and there's nothing you can do or say about it. Next up is assassins. Assassins are the champions that lurk in the shadows, waiting for their prime opportunity to delete the next unfortunate soul that walks through their bush. They're extremely high damage dealers that, when they're able to get their full combo off, will pretty much delete just about anyone they come in contact with. They're primarily located in the jungle and the mid lane, and they generally almost end games with a very high kill count, but a very high death count as well. Now, one of the downsides and biggest counter to the assassin is tanks and fighters. Anybody that has a lot of health or a lot of tankiness, aka defensive items and defensive stats, will generally just turn them off and end their combo right there, because assassins rely on destroying their enemy before they even know that they're under attack. So if they don't kill them with that instant combo, then the assassin's just kind of hung out to dry and they don't know what to do at that point. They just try to run, and if the tank's smart enough, they'll just CC them in return and just turn it into a kill. Some examples of assassins are Diana, Kha'Zix, Nocturne, Pyke, Rengar, Zed, Akali, Evelynn, Shaco or Shaco, and Kassadin. So if you're the kind of person that likes to lurk in the shadows, wait to tilt the next person that crosses your path, by all means, pick the assassins. But just know that when you decide to enter a 1v5 situation and then you die and you proceed to yell at your team, just realize that you have now become one with the role. Congratulations. Next up is mages. Mages use magical abilities to destroy their enemies from range. They rarely use auto attacks and they rely heavily on their abilities. They rarely use their basic attacks at all. They are primarily found in the mid lane and the bot lane. They can be great against melee champions because they can hit from afar, but they really don't have a good way of exiting a bad situation. Once they're kind of in there, they now have to rely on their cunning and abilities to get them out of those situations. The biggest downside to mages, though, is their mana bar. There's something called being which means out of mana, OOM. This is the biggest downfall to a mage because they rely so heavily on those abilities. If they run out of that mana, they have nothing. It's virtually like running out of ammo when you're in the middle of a fight. You're not going to win. And their auto attacks do virtually nothing, so there's no point in using them in the first place. Mages are also very weak to burst as well. So while they're very high burst, basically they just explode, just like assassins do, they're also very weak against the same things that assassins are. Some examples of mages are Annie, Ryze, Nico, Orianna, Syndra, Zoe, Ahri, Anivia, Brand, Malzahar, Ziggs, and Lux. So if you like blasting fireballs, shooting magical mortars, and exploding with magic to kill your enemies, then the mage role is definitely for you. But keep an eye on that mana bar. Jumping over to marksman. Marksmen, I don't know why they call them marksmen. They're ADCs, attack damage carries. That's what we're going to call them for the remainder of this video. ADCs are the bow and arrow, gun-wielding, long-range shooters. ADCs are glass cannons, which means they deal a massive amount of damage, but if you even touch them, they just shatter. They're primarily located in the bot lane and will always be accompanied by a support. And I'll explain that further when we go over supports next. ADCs will always be in the back, holding down their trigger finger, hoping for the best, just waiting till everybody else is dead. Their primary weakness is just about everything. Everything kills them. They're so weak and fragile. The only thing they can do to counter it is to use whatever abilities they have in their kit or have lifesteal, which basically a portion of the damage they deal returns to them as health. That's about all they can do. But they die so fast to virtually everything that you'll always end your games just like assassins. High kills, but if you find one particular assassin that really, really likes you, then you'll have low kills and high deaths. Some examples of ADCs are Draven, Ezreal, Lucian, Jinx, Kalista, Caitlyn, Varus, Corki, Jhin, Samira, Sivir, and Twitch. ADC roles are for the kind of player that really don't have much to think about. In reality, ADCs just have to kind of just hold their trigger finger down and hope for the best. Oftentimes, I see ADCs make the biggest mistakes when they try to make too many decisions at the same time. They try to attack more than one person, they don't know whether to leave or engage. They usually end up missing auto attacks or failing their abilities, jumps, or flashes. All you have to really do is just focus on one person, shoot them till they're dead, and move on to the next person. If you have to leave because your whole team's dying, then do so. But don't do the whole back and forth thing. It never works. Last up is supports. Now, I save supports for last because I think they're the most important role in League of Legends. Supports are the shielders, healers, and protectors of the team. And as I said before, they'll always be accompanying the ADC in the bot lane. Now, in short, the support is the ADC's babysitter. They're changing their diaper when they wet themselves, they're keeping them safe when they make stupid decisions, and they take the rap for whenever the ADC makes a stupid decision. Supports, like I said, are the most vital role in the team. But they're also the most underappreciated because the way that the whole meta is in this game, they're expected to yield really low damage and very low output of anything other than heals and shields and crowd control. Because their abilities are primarily heals and shields and crowd control, they can really change a game around by healing the carry on your team or completely cutting off the carry on their team by using their crowd control. You could really make a huge difference, and you could definitely be the saving grace that turns a match around 100%. Some examples of supports are Bard, Braum, Janna, Nami or Nami, Sona, Taric, Thresh, Zyra, Alistar, Karma, Blitzcrank, Leona, Lulu, Nautilus, and Yuumi. I always recommend supporting roles to those just starting out in League of Legends, especially if you're starting out with a friend, because 90% of the time the reason you started playing League of Legends is because you have friends that are playing. Start being their support. It's going to be very frustrating for them, but you'll appreciate it because you're both in the same lane, you're both talking to each other, your friend's able to coach you and walk you through the basics of the game. And then once you feel more confident, you jump into top lane or middle. Once you feel really confident, jump into jungle. But be prepared to be underappreciated, yelled at, and blamed for a lot of the stuff that happens in the game. You're probably second to being blamed for everything, right behind the jungle. And you won't just get blamed by your teammates or your friend that you're laning with, but by the grading system League of Legends has as well. Because you don't get any kills or minion kills or champion kills or any kind of kills, you generally will always get kind of a crappy grade. If you happen to get a few kills, you'll always get a great grade. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the video helpful. I hope that it helps you in your League of Legends journey, trying to figure out what role is best matched for you. You're going to have a lot of times where you think one role is best for you, but it's really not. Try them all out, see how you like them. You'll find one champion in one position that really jives with you. Stick with that one for a while and see how it plays out. And again, if you guys have any questions that you want me to answer, leave it in the comment section below. If you liked the video, like it. If you didn't like the video, dislike it. I'll catch you guys in the next one.